European Road to BlizzCon 2015, and our first team has their plane tickets booked to California in November for BlizzCon and a shot at the world title. They also have their place in the final, which will take place here in Prague tomorrow. But who are they going to face for the title of European champion and to be the big dogs, number one in Europe, the number one team in Europe? Well, let's find out with the second of our semi-finals. So please welcome to the stage the first team that has been rolling over everyone all year. Please put your hands together for Navi! So they have to go down as the favourites in this match. Will it bother the team they're taking on? I don't think so. They were underdogs last time. Did they win? Yes, they did, after going one down in a best of three. So please put your hands together for our second semi-final team, G2! So playing for a place in the final, not just that, also playing for a ticket to BlizzCon, and in the case of G2, playing for Polish pride as well. We got two teams, so let's get this brawl on. Chobra, it's back to you.
The last match of the day and the second semifinal. One spot remains for BlizzCon at the World Championship, and also only one spot remains, of course, for the finals happening here in the O2 Arena tomorrow. Navi versus G2. Let's talk about Navi first. I think, you can't really argue about that. They are the favorites coming into this best of five.
They're the favorites indeed. I mean, they've shown a flawless performance yesterday, not giving down a single battleground at all. And if you ride on that wave of success, it's very easy, to keep up that momentum. But you should always be, make sure not to get overconfident.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you never want to get too excited or say like, oh, this is definitely ours, because then you're going to get complacent. And we've seen that G2, they fought back viciously in their group stage match in the very last one against Virtus Pro to get to the semifinal.
Yeah, against all odds as well. Like, nobody were really putting any faith in them. So at this point, they might just be feeling like they're free rolling, riding this wave of, I guess they've already surprised and they're already there. They only need one single best of five. That's what it all comes down to.
Yeah.
They've, I think, most certainly got the potential to upset Navi there, but will they play well enough? That's the one question here that everybody wonders about right now.
The big thing about Navi, though, is that aside from, when they started having their rise, ever since they started having that rise and then getting a good position in like dream hacks in the past and stuff like that, they haven't slumped. They have been consistent. They have continued to show that they are one of the dominating forces in Europe, to the point now where the culmination of it came to yesterday, where they did have such stomps. They were stomps that Navi exhibited there against Dignitas, who just qualified for the top two.
Isn't that pretty interesting? I mean, Dignitas, after yesterday's match against Navi, they were like, people were thinking, okay, well, they played well against Team Liquid, but maybe they're not really cut out for it yet. But hey, they've already secured their spot at BlizzCon at the World Championship. Yeah. And of course, we were kind of speculating we might even see that rematch in the finals between Dignitas and Navi. But how strong really is Navi then if they rolled through their group like that?
And they have one big advantage on their sides as well, which is they didn't have to play as much. So the other teams actually don't know, like, what other comps can they bring to the table, whereas teams like G2, they played tons of games with tons of different hero compositions. So Navi had all the time in the world to watch, observe, and maybe analyze.
Yeah, that's true. And especially, I mean, sometimes when you're in one of the final moments of a tournament, you might start to see different things emerge, and you're starting to see trends today. Of course, Karazim overall starting to become more and more popular in the pro scene through and through. But today, I mean, we've seen him quite a few times. And then certain heroes we haven't seen that much, like not a Numerab, I was going to say Abathur or something like that, where on certain battlegrounds you would expect actually for that niche pick to come out, and we haven't really seen it utilized too much just yet.
I think there'll be definite focus on towards bans on Abathur here in this series.
And our first battleground, Haunted Mines, here between these two teams. That is pretty interesting. Yeah. Possibly trying to go for something that's, if you can win this first one, kind of dominate it in Haunted Mines, of course, you're going to gain that momentum in a best of 5. Not that common to see this battleground show up in the very early phases, though.
Haunted Mines, one of those battlegrounds where you tend to see certain heroes that aren't really popular in other maps. For example, Sylvana is still a force to be reckoned with. But of course, this meta is all about warriors, so it's not surprising to see 3 of the strongest ones picked already.
I think Sylvana, Tassadar, Kerrigan, some of the heroes that on this map particularly are going to be really good. Almost any time, Leoric was picked up very quickly and then reacted to with an Arthas pick. So we're already seeing these warriors really coming into play very quickly here in this draft, and Muradin as well. I mean, why not? Sonya being banned, this is all about the warriors here, it seems like.
Exactly. I mean, these two teams going kind of with the current trend in the meta, saying warriors are what's hot. We're going to even ban one. I mean, Uther being banned is not that surprising.
Johanna maybe next?
Okay, yeah. I mean, Johanna is left, and since the other team already took Arthas and Muradin G2, are they forced to have to go with that, Johanna?
Interesting to see, though. I mean, G2, they banned Uther, and Na'Vi responded with a Sonya ban, but Sonya, and we know it, is not really that strong without an Uther. So that was a very curious ban to see here.
We've seen Chihua actually be instrumental in some of the victories, though, from the previous series that they played, of course. And he was running a lot of Sonya. Na'Vi respecting that kind of position. She still has a place. She still has a place without Uther, of course, just not as powerful as you mentioned.
Yeah, and I think in some ways maybe that is Na'Vi being a little bit more cautious in their first game here against G2, not wanting to get ahead of themselves, saying, all right, we'll give that respect ban. And we'll play it. We'll try to play it a little bit safe. We did see Kel'Thas being picked up in some ways, most likely denying that away from the Muradin and that combo and securing it for themselves, and then the Karazim.
It's a really good map to go for Kel'Thas on, I think, as well. A lot of deep pushing power, and this bomb's gonna come in handy when everybody's clumped up in some of those fights in the mines. So gamers too, it's G2, they're really focusing their picks here on the map, not just on the opponents and what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, so far they've got a lot of that utility coming in. Still only one warrior on their side, but at the same time, probably not too worried because the opponents have already selected 2 warriors. I mean, maximum, they'll probably take 1 more, but...
I mean, something that was always very common, aside from more warriors coming out, is like something like Kerrigan. There you go. Never mind. So, yeah, she was very, very strong on Haunted Mines. It's usual you end up seeing the ban coming out of Kerrigan, and, well, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. So, I mean, self-explanatory, as you were going to say, Kerrigan very good, and therefore banned out by G2. And Illidan.
Illidan, right away. We've only seen Illidan being banned today. So this is actually the first time that someone dares to pick the Betrayer. And, his fiance, at least if he wants to be it that way. Tyrande, a very strong hero on that map in particular, because she's very flexible in her talent builds. She could even potentially go for a mule, which is particularly strong on Haunted Mines.
And with Illidan, you're going to want to snowball. You're going to want to kill one person, chase down the entire team, kill them all, use that metamorphosis, and land it on everybody, and just kill them. Get these kills, get a big golem, and then get some advantage, finish the game. Actually, in terms of healers, then they might probably close it out with Rhaegar, I'm guessing.
Oh, okay. Could be. And there's the Johanna. Yeah, G2 not too rushed about that. I mean, James, what do you think about the Illidan and Tyrande here for Na'Vi?
Well, it's interesting because Illidan, technically, aside from having something like Rhaegar next to him, doesn't really have as much. It's like an old school support that you would normally see with an Illidan. Of course, it does help out quite a lot, but also Tyrande with protective shields, etc., is also going to give her a little bit more freedom as well to really have some kind of leeway here in this series. Game.
All right. Well, G2, first of all, has to round out their picks, and it's going to be Jaina, so going for the double assassins, lots of range there, and then, 2 sturdy front.
Ooh! That is really interesting.
Whoa.
Brightwing finally coming out today here in the O2 Arena for the EU Championships.
Right now, we have certain heroes in Heroes of the Storm, those so-called semi-assassin, or semi-supports, pardon me, and Brightwing, hasn't really seen that much play, but when she gets brought to the table, then either with a Tassadar, who's another one of those heroes, or with a Tyrande.
Something that's very interesting about Brightwing as well is later on talents. We haven't seen Kael'thas and Jaina together for a very, very long time in the European scene especially, unless some people want to go for some crazy build. Now, what she can do towards level 13 and 16 is take Shield Dust and Bouncy Dust, Bouncy Dust and Shield Dust, which actually soaks up a lot of the spell damage from those two things. So that is an option that they have available to them, not necessarily what they have to go for though.
This might just be the plan here actually, to go for this, but Illidan in general in this map, like I said, you're going to want to snowball. If you get a kill early on, this is one of the most snowbally maps. If you get any kind of leads, you can capitalize on it big time and just completely snowball out of control.
And we've actually talked to Navi's Blender before the tournament started, and he was very particular about being really amazed and excited about the NA comp by Cognitive that featured Illidan and Brightwing. So that might have been a source of inspiration for them to go into the series with those heroes.
Could be, and now that you mention, I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? Illidan, he can generally take care of any auto attacks that come his way with his own skill set, but now that that's not really a concern on the other side, you're like, all right, we got to complement that with also being able to block out that spell damage, so Illidan can really freely jump in, do the damage he needs to.
Yeah, I mean, there's more utility to Brightwing other than that potential of those talents, of course. I mean, Polymorph alone to be able to restrict Illidan taking some damage, and even the ability to buff up that Polymorph even more, so when your Illidan is focusing down one of the targets and then they're taking extra damage off the Criterize is something that could be a potential here as well.
Yeah, this first game is already turning out to be a little bit interesting. It does seem like Na'Vi trying to come out swinging. They also have that kind of cautionary ban on the Sonya. They want to make sure that they start off on the right foot because everyone's looking at them and saying, you're supposed to win this best of 5.
Thinking about that Sonya pick a little more, if they had in mind to go with Illidan, Sonya, she's actually a really good counter pick to Illidan because she's not necessarily has to rely on her basic attacks. She can use her Seismic Slam to deal damage even while evasion is up.
There you go. Okay, yeah, so maybe a little bit of a preemptive thought too there, along with the caution saying, all right, we don't want to take any chances. We really want to be able to dominate with this Illidan. The other thing I see with heroes like Illidan is if you win the first game with that, suddenly it becomes like a priority ban to your opponents, right? Because it's so flashy, it's always in your face. I think that's something that G2 is going to be a little bit scared. Todd, how do you view, now that we've seen the whole draft, how do you view this? Is Na'Vi really still favored here?
Honestly, like, it's such a weird draft that for me it's really hard to judge. Like, you know, we were talking earlier on in the tournament about how we were going to see, you know, pocket strategy that these guys, they've practiced secretly and all that. And I really feel like this is not the time. This is the one match here that you want to win in particular because there is a ticket to BlizzCon here at the end of this match for the winner. So I actually wonder, you know, if this is one of these pocket strategies here that's going to come into play and how well it's going to do. I think there is a chance, like I said, that if Illidan gets some kind of momentum going early on, he's going to do really well, but if he doesn't, he's just going to crumble and they're going to lose really hard.
I mean, so in that sense, I mean, would you say it's kind of the same theory as goes with Zeratul, right? It's all eyes on Illidan, whether he can make the game happen or not for Na'Vi in this case.
With Zeratul, it's more like you can have a few bad fights and kind of be behind, but hang in there, and then suddenly you have a great VP in one of the fights, and then you win that fight super convincingly, and you still win the game, so you can win from behind. Whereas at Illidan, if you fall behind, coming back is just so incredibly hard, assuming the opponents don't make any kind of massive mistake.
That's true. I mean, in the end, you're still really there just for your damage. So we'll find out if Na'Vi can pull that off. Ladies and gentlemen, about to start the second semifinal, the last match of the day to determine who the second team will be going into the finals of the European Championship and, of course, getting their ticket to BlizzCon. Kicking off game 1, it will be Solid Jake and Grubby guiding us into the Haunted Mines.
And what a privilege it is. Not only is it Haunted Mines, but I get to cast Brightwing Grubby. I couldn't ask for anything more, my friend.
Yeah, and the cool thing is that actually, until they picked up Brightwing, I was kind of favoring the other team. I was like, well, they got Leoric, they can just kind of come back into the fight much quicker, but Brightwing is much the same. If you take her out in the first Haunted Mines engagement, she's back in like 8 seconds. And she's a great prepper for Illidan to enter fights.
Well, let's talk about Haunted Mines. Of course, it's a 2-lane map that actually has a second portion where you can go below to a second level on the battleground. 3 mercenary camps, the knights in the middle, the giants on the opposite side, often used defensively versus the grave golem, which is summoned by collecting skulls that are picked up underground when the mines are available. If you collect skulls, there's up to 100. The more you get, the more powerful the golem is, and you can either choose to push with it or try to defeat your golems if you're worried about their push more than yours. Now, in Haunted Mines, we frequently see heroes like Sylvanas used early in the draft, right? But it's not really the case here in this composition. And it's going to be fun to see like just the different styles clashing. Tyrande with Hunter's Mark, very helpful to try to burn through those big health pools. And Brightwing making her debut for this tournament.
Yeah, she certainly is. She was used as well in the Korean Championship, which was today. So it is fitting to burst out those pocket strategies. We were wondering already, will Na'Vi have saved up anything good for the final moments? And the answer is yes. They've showed a number of new strats already, and there we go with Brightwing here. On the left side, Natus, Vincere, also known as Na'Vi, Schwimpy on the Tyrande, Eternal on Murden, JPL on Illidan, Splendor on Brightwing, and Alex the Pro G playing Arthas.
But of course, on the right side, their challengers, Gamers 2, will be up against them, and that is going to be Leo from Korea on Karazim. Going to be Nigger playing Kel'Thas, Saizu playing Leoric, Jawe going to be on Johanna, and Boxic playing Jaina.
All right, now let's see how they're going to be splitting. Usually you see one defender in the lane of the opponent's Grave Golem, and 4 people will be attacking. But that's going to be Leoric there at the top. We're going to see a Stormbolt to reveal there. They see Johanna, and she could still get away safely with Iron Skin. Now that Natus Vincere's hand has been tipped, they're going to have to draw back and put Alex the Prodigy, their Arthas, in that top lane. So it's a 4 versus 4 at the bottom.
4v4 and 2 very interesting compositions. Now, let's just talk a little bit about Illidan and why he's so interesting here on this battleground. And a lot of it just comes down to his early game power, right? In a team fight, he's got a lot of sustain, especially when you see Hyper Shift here on Brightwing. You'll pair that with the additional shielding, right? Phase Shift's going to be a crucial part of this. When you dive in with Illidan, Brightwing Phase Shifts in, she can polymorph a single target and open up a big window for that Illidan to do a lot of damage.
Yeah, if it was... normally you actually see Illidan having like a weak early game power, but the cool thing is, with that Brightwing, you can quickly turn 1v1s into 2v1s. And this is actually a 4 versus 1, but a very quick reaction by Siku. Nice Stormbolt by Eternal, but he was already out of reach there.
And the other cool thing to talk about is just Brightwing's global presence. So right now, she is soaking one lane by herself. And in the event that she needs to rotate up for that quick moment, she just hits Z, clicks an ally, and she will immediately teleport to their location.
All right, and one more thing I want to look out for is Tyrande going to take Mule, and are they going to play a defensive game, defending the golems, or are they going to go for fighting prowess? Another question is, will Arthas go for Syndragoza? It seems very likely, because you can do a 20-second shutdown with your heroic ability on all of the opponent's fortifications, their defenses, giving your golem that much more pushing power.
Yeah, I think Syndragoza is just about guaranteed, but Mule is going to come down to the early mines, right? Based on how successful they are in doing so. If they think they need to be defensive, probably go for Mule. If not, they'll go for more aggression. But wow, a lot of damage being thrown out of the shields for Johanna. Isn't enough Jawi going to the mines, but Illidan, JPL picks up the first kill of the game.
Perfect coordination there by Na'Vi with the perfect polymorph timing. Had Iron Skin pop, none of that would have worked.
Oh, but Brightwing is here.
Follow-up kills.
2 kills already, but a lot of skulls have been picked up on the side of G2, right? They're sitting at 28 skulls right now, but they're going to lose a third member. The poly goes off. Leo from Korea trying to get out of there. He will succeed in doing so.
Wow, what a tense moment there. Still 32 skulls were picked up. It's a small XP differential, but when you get those early skulls, you're allowed to leave the mine. Siku here, gonna go in. Skeletal Swing is gonna take about 4 or so, and 38 is enough.
Nicely done. Schwimpy rotating up with the Lunar Flare to get the takedown. And now it is 38-32. A slight favor for G2. Just the boss remains here on the right side of the mines. And this is where we have a lot of team fights happen.
Yeah, and when everyone is level 4, there's no stats difference. Everyone has come back to life. So anyway, Siku here is running away with the Wraithwalk. It's a full 5 versus 5.
And Peekaboo was picked up by Brightwing, just giving them a lot of vision here on the fight when she phase shifts, and JPL getting super low. Gonna need the Pixie just to stay alive here. No, the Flame Strike will get the takedown, but it's gonna be a trade here as Karazim falls as well. Make that 2 for 1 in favor of G2.
G2 driving them out of the mines, and the final skulls could go to anyone at this point, but you can't go for it too quickly. Should you go for that boss? It seems like a tempting route, well, something tempting to go for, but you don't actually want to do that because you're going to give too much experience on the top lane in those waves, which cannot completely be neglected.
And you're already seeing like Na'Vi prioritizing Brightwing for soaking as often as possible. You'll see Brightwing hanging out in the lanes whenever they can, and then phase shifting into the battle because it's just about getting the edge on your opponents. Right now, hasn't really shown a ton of favor for experience for Na'Vi.
All right, Toronto there with a kind of strange level 4 pick there. Focus attack after ranges mark. I guess it works out. Some added extra sustained damage, but hold that thought. A big all-in here on Leoric. He dodges most of the damage from that Lunar Flare and Hunter's Mark. And now we see a polymorph on Basek, and he's going to get taken down. Jaina is down. Siku goes down as well. This is a 5 versus 3 now.
Wow, and Leo tries to dash forward towards Illidan, but pays for it. And with the Howling Blast throwing on Jowie, they don't need to follow for that kill. They want to collect the rest of the skulls here in the mines while they have the hero advantage.
A very risky move here by G2, trying to backstab 3 versus 5. Illidan, the best chasing hero in the game, is going to make full use of that and says, thank you. We will take these follow-up kills, we will take the skulls, and we're going to get a level 7 versus 6.3 advantage.
This is why Haunted Mines is such an uncommon battleground. It is very aggressive in the nature of the way it works. 9-2 already for takedowns.
Unforgiving.
Very much so.
All right, so now we go with that Brightwing pick. The phase shield at level 7 is going to give a big 20% HP shield, roughly. Well, actually, it's going to just give a big shield to whoever she jumps on. Now the Siege Giants are going to get defeated. Keep in mind, they will not be captured immediately. You can keep that capture circle. Don't use it yet. You want to capture it exactly when your enemy's golem is about leaving the gate of their fort. That's why you see them waiting here.
It's almost like having 2 additional towers that have unlimited ammo, as long as they don't step out. Because the moment they walk past your fort wall, they become so vulnerable to being blown up. But, you know, teams have... This was one of the tricks that was learned very early in Heroes of the Storm.
And now we see a solid level 7 from each. They're going to have to decide how they're going to split. We could see Brightwing solo pushing for experience, jumping back perhaps, but that is a risky proposition. We've got a lot of initiation here from G2. And it is a 4-man defense on both sides. Toronto did not take Mule. She's going to focus on the battle potential with that Lunar Flare.
I think Lunar Blaze makes perfect sense right now to be able to throw that in as Illidan dives deep into these fights. We can see how quickly the golem is being defended. Having the help from those 2 Siege Giants really not going to do a whole lot of damage in this game.
Right, both golems are being defeated with the help of those Siege Giants. Splendor is going to take some damage here. Has no way to jump out. Luckily, the gravity lapse from Nicker falls just short for Brightwing. And they're now pushing the top, supporting those Siege Giants to take down 2 towers, giving much needed 400 points of XP times 2, and they're drawing close to level 9.
Okay, so Illidan has to be a little bit more careful now because Leoric did pick up Paralyzing Rage at level 7, and that's a much more impactful slow. So Illidan wants mobility. He wants to be able to dive all over his opponents to dish out the damage. His trait is actually self-heal when he does damage to his enemies, and well, if you can't get to them, you can't heal yourself up.
Yeah, exactly. Well, his attack speed remains unaffected.
True.
He can be kited, which means that the enemies move backwards while he is not able to close the distance.
Okay, well, a full level advantage, Na'Vi closing in on those heroic abilities. And that's going to make things quite tough for G2. This is going to allow Na'Vi to bully G2 as strong as they like for more than a full level.
Yeah, this is a very difficult situation. And just about within the next 30 to 40 seconds or so, the next mines will be announced. And if there's level 10 for Na'Vi and G2 doesn't have it, the only choice they have is to continue to soak experience, maybe steal about 20 skulls or so, and just defend a really big grave golem. Maybe they can stay out of the mines entirely and first attack some towers, because they need that level 10. It's still pretty far away.
It is. And Na'Vi now have picked up their heroic abilities. We see there's going to be Metamorphosis, Avatar, the Syndragosa like we predicted, Starfall, and then Blink Heal for Brightwing. And this team got far more difficult to kill in battle right now.
Mines starting to open in 20 seconds. We see Na'Vi pontificating. Shall we go in already, or do we set a trap? It is the trap. Siku, he's going to get attacked. Stormbolt, Lunar Flare follow-up. A full 100 to 0%. Can they do it?
And there's so much damage. Lyric trying to Wraith Walk. Does barely just get out of there at the last moment.
Oh man, they dodged the bullet there. G2 with the Siku staying alive. Now level 9.5, they're going to go in, and they're going to go in force. If they concentrate their efforts on a single hero, they can take them out, but they're actually choosing to split. And they're really following the opponent of already cleared skeletons. And this is a big problem for them. 32 skulls been taken for Na'Vi. And they get blown up as well. Kel'Thas goes down. Basek completely isolated.
He is not getting out of this one. Illidan will just continue the chase. Syndragosa was even used unnecessarily, but 32 skulls and 2 kills have been picked up here on the side of Na'Vi. They will go to dominate the second mine phase of game number 1.
Yeah, 10 skulls got taken, and the remainder is going to be for Na'Vi for now. But the Syndragosa did get wasted. That's 4 heroics left for Na'Vi. And G2 has 5 heroics left, as long as Kaothas picks one.
You know, I have to ask you, how do you feel about Ring of Frost in this situation? Commonly, at least in the Western meta, we only see Ring of Frost used with something like Void Prison. And this is going to have to be used just plain out, maybe after Blessed Shield. Do you like this pickup?
Well, the cool thing is with that paralyzing rage, 60% slow, it does get easier to hit. And you also fight a lot around gates where there's very little movement. You're already dodging the roots from the boss, so I believe there is some zoning potential there as well.
Great points. All right. Well, we see G2 trying to find someone on the position on the side of Na'Vi, but they will all escape the mines after picking up 89 out of 100 of the skulls. This is going to be a massive golem on their side.
This is the most risky point in the game for Na'Vi because they don't have a level 13 talent advantage and they're going to get a really big golem. But if they were to die in the next 20 seconds or so, they would not be able to properly support the Grave Golem.
True.
Anyway, they have dodged that. People are on opposite sides of the map. Brightwing is going to provide a semblance of defense. He just wants to add a little bit of damage on the Golem. Probably not even going to stay for that long, or maybe even just soak the lane. 11 Skull Golem will not be able to kill this fort. Probably with the support of
it might get it, but at the end of the day, doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
This golem is so much bigger. They're going to try to push to take out the back fortifications, and with the big Syndragosa, that's exactly what we're going to see. The roots are thrown out, the Arcane Flare hitting, and as they do eliminate Lyric very early in the fight, and JPL able to back out at the last moment.
Now, with that strong of a golem, I almost feel like it's once again a little bit premature to use the Syndragosa already.
Yeah.
This fort was going to die no matter what in 10 seconds. It would have been so nice to ride it all the way to this keep, but be that as it may, none of the heroics have been used yet besides Syndragosa, so they can continue to push in here. Na'Vi with the talent advantage, jumping in immediately on Karazim.
A big Ring of Frost trying to buy some time to condemn follow-up, but it doesn't matter. The damage output, the pulse heal of Brightwing is more than enough to keep Na'Vi pushing in. Their golem still has more than half its health full in the Starfall, in the perfect location. Jaina goes down. This fight is just pushing and doing so much damage to G2.
Oh, Splendor is making such great plays. The polymorph timing is just out of this world. Every time he polymorphs someone, it leads to an immediate kill. Some excellent play here. You can tell that he really invested in practicing with that Brightwing.
Grubby, we just saw a keep fall at the 11-minute marker, and that is the threat of going to something like Haunted Mines early here in a match. Generally, it's a trump card you try to pull out when you're down in a best-of-5 series, but opening up the tournament here, opening up this series, so very interesting.
Yeah, that is the unforgiving nature of Haunted Mines. Both teams let this map be the first one. Get that out of the way at least. You don't want this one to be the last one and decider. That's going to feel bad.
And this is the first time we've had a 3-level lead at all today, if I'm not mistaken. Na'Vi looking so strong in this semifinal match.
Yeah, those polymorphs have just been amazing by Splendor there, and very strong spearheading off that army by JPL. They're now going to get the Bruiser camp. Soon we'll have a level 16 for Na'Vi, which is going to make it so hard for G2. Now, at this point, G2 has to make some tough calls. If they play it passive, they're in a huge disadvantage. If they force a fight, they're in a huge disadvantage. They need to pick their poison. They're not going to have an easy decision to make, but somehow they need to try and pull something off here.
Well, it's going to be so difficult as everyone on the side of Na'Vi is just getting more and more defensive. We now have the shield dust there for Brightwing that's going to negate a lot of ability damage. We see that we also have Sixth Sense, also going to negate a lot of damage done to Illidan. And then, of course, overflowing late in Toronto, her heals are so much more impactful. So they're already struggling to pick up the takedowns. Only 2 so far in this game, and it just got far more difficult.
And it's even very difficult for G2 to safely lane for experience. They need to stay together as 5, while Na'Vi has the luxury to allow Brightwing to stay in that top lane, get the experience, and then jump in anytime. Now, Eternal, he's going to start taking some damage, but he's not afraid. There's a big level lead. He can soak up a lot of damage. Look for Brightwing to jump in on JPL. There we go. He jumps in. We're going to see a polymorph Lunar Flare on Leoric. But they're going to choose to disengage just a tad too far away, G2 was.
Yeah, I mean, there's no real need to win a fight right now. The mines are spawning, get in position, once again looking for a party bush. But Splendor might give away the location as Sizer dashes forward. They unload everything they have, and he's being completely torn apart. The 7-sided strike, is it enough in this situation? I don't think so. Everyone's still standing strong, but the team of G2 is getting decimated. Syndragosa for style points. It is a 5-man wipe.
That is an ace. There's 25 seconds left to run to the core. It will take them about 7. And then they have an 18-second window to finish. Objective Who. There's no need to go for it anymore. They can finish it off. Once again, Brightwing jumping in there, allowing Arthas to more effectively tank the core. And this is a short and merciless game here by Na'Vi. They're closing it out. They're going to win the first game here against G2. And they have said, we are good at drafting, we are good at lots of different heroes, and you should be very worried for us in the semifinals.
Brightwing 100% win rate in this tournament, the absolute best support in the game. Beautiful play by Na'Vi. I mean, everything about the way they